Hey friends, it's Lauren. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. Can you believe that it is the 25th of November, which means it's time for some holiday inspiration, but also Christmas is a month away, and that's terrifying. This year has been flying by. But one thing I'm really excited about this year were the couple of opportunities I had to work with Waffle flour. They gifted me some different tools this year, and in today's video, I am sharing my review of the Shader 2 Plus blending brushes. I also purchased, with my own money, the Shader 1 brushes. These were on sale for their warehouse moving sale. So I wanted to get some of the larger brushes too, to do some stenciling and kind of compare using a larger brush with the brand new 2 Plus brushes. I also bought these little storage containers for the brushes. They sit inside the little mini ink pad mats that I also have that I bought during the warehouse sale. So I'm going to put all my little brushes into these two little brush containers. They're so cute. I was also gifted a few different products to play with in my package. I'm going to be using some Christmas themed stencils and dies and sentiments, as again this is the 25th of the month and I want to bring you some holiday inspiration. I also want to note that I'm filming this at dusk, and I thought, oh, the lighting is still fine. It's still light outside, but it wasn't. So I tried to fix the lighting in this video as best as I could, but I apologize now when it feels a little yellowy than normal. It's just because of the time of day. So I'm going to start with stenciling, of course, so I can try these brushes out. And I'm also using the Multiple Presents Die-n-Stencil. I have my little waffle mat stenciling mat. No, Waffle Flower Craft stenciling mat. And I'm going to tape down my piece of white cardstock, and then my glass board is magnetic. So I'm going to use my magnets to keep my stencil in place on the mat. And that way I can easily move my stencil as there's 4 different layers within this stencil. So I am going to be using some light blue to start my first layer of color. Now this sky blue is a pretty pale color, so getting ink off the ink pad and to soak up my brush and then actually stenciling with it takes me a little time, but I left all that in. I do speed up my videos like 1.5 times, so this is a little faster than actual view, like actually it took me to stencil. But you can see once I finally get some ink saturated on my little brush, stenciling becomes a little easier, and I fill in my first gift with this pale blue color. And I went ahead and did all of the different stencil openings in this first layer. And then I grabbed my second color, which is Lagoon Blue. And I am using the Shader 2 Plus brush to add in shading through those openings. So you can see the color is much darker, and I'm trying to be, light and easy, trying to color in those openings and adding some shading. And then I even went back with my sky blue ink pad to kind of even the colors out. So let's take a look at how they turned out. And I thought it looked pretty good. I mean, it's my first time with these types of brushes. I've never really used such detailed brushes before like these. So this is definitely a learn with me as I go in this video, but I'm pretty happy with how my little presents turn out. For the second color, I'm going with more of a teal, so I have Caribbean, and again using the Shader 1 brush first to add in the lighter color through the openings of the stencil, and then I picked another Shader 2 Plus brush, and this time I'm using Mermaid from scrapbook.com to add in the shadow. So I go ahead and add all of those shadows in, and I do bring back the one brush and try to smooth and blend those colors a little better. And then for the third layer, I'm going to bring in some distress ink, and I'm starting with Spun Sugar, which is of course a very pale pink. And then my shading color I picked Raspberry. And again, adding a lot of detail. I wanted to add detail shadow to these two gifts that are kind of stacked in front of each other within the stencil. And then finally, I brought in Festive berries for this last row of the layer of my stencil. And I didn't do any shading with this one. I just went a little heavier in some spots than others to create my own shading with just one color. So here's how my gifts turned out. I think they look really cute. I'm happy with the color combination. I don't know if you can tell on my channel, but I've just been really loving teal and pink. For all the things, especially Christmas. So I'm realizing now that I'm doing probably a lot, so I should probably start doing some other color combinations. But we love teal and pink for Christmas this year, I guess, is the theme of my channel for my holiday cards. I used the coordinating die from that multiple presents Die-n-Stencil and cut out the 4 images. And now I'm going to create a background to put my images on. I decided to grab my Woodgrain craft die because I hadn't used it yet. And what better time than with other waffle flower products. I did the actual large wood grain die with all of that pretty stitch detailing on some white cardstock. And I'm going to stencil on the other stencil that I was gifted, which is the Snowfall background stencil. I just wanted to obviously use the products that were gifted to me in this video, but I just thought it'd be really fun to add more of a white on white, tone on tone look on this piece of wood grain. So I'm going to grab my Crafter's Workshop Pearl White Stardust Butter, and I'm going to add that through the Snowfall stencil onto this wood grain die cut. I really love white on white. And I think that having this like really subtle shine is just going to make my background, step it up another level. I picked up the excess of that stencil butter and put it back into the jar. And then I'm going to go quickly rinse off my stencil and my grip mat while my background dries. Next, I'm going to move on to die cutting some more. So now I'm going to use the large outline of that wood grain die set, and I'm going to die cut it out of some teal cardstock, trying to do my best to match the colors of the ink pads that I chose. I'm going to do an A2 size card. So I have a side folding card that I'm going to rotate 90 degrees so it's top folding but in the horizontal position. And I was going to just do it right onto the white background. I was going to glue my wood grain right onto the white background. So I started with adding my foam adhesive behind the teal cardstock, but then I decided it needs more pink. So I went through my A2 paper pad from scrapbook.com, the pinks smooth cardstock collection, and I'm going to trim off just a teeny tiny bit. I want my paper to have a small white border. So I cut off 1/8 of an inch from both the horizontal and vertical of my cardstock, and that gives me a nice tiny white border around the pink. And then I went ahead and popped up that teal wood grain piece to the center of my card base. Next, my stencil butter is now dry, and so I'm going to add my liquid adhesive on the back side of this white wood grain piece and glue that to the center of the teal. It doesn't line up perfectly, which I think just adds so much more to this design. I absolutely love it. The tree rings look so cool. And since I was gifted these Silver Foil Essentials Sentiments die cut sheet, I'm going to grab the Merry Christmas out of that collection. And that will be my sentiment, which is going to make assembling this card pretty quick and easy now. So I'm going to go through and kind of play with the layout of my presents and my sentiment until I'm happy. And once I have that in place, I'm going to go ahead and use my liquid adhesive to glue the large present that is in the back of my little bundle of gifts here. So just adding liquid adhesive, and then I will slide that back into where it needs to go. My other 3 gifts, I'm going to use some foam adhesive. I've been using a slightly thinner foam. These are from Thermoweb. That's how I adhered my wood grain design, and that's how I'm going to adhere these 3 gifts. So I'll go ahead and fill up the back of these 3 gifts with more foam adhesive, and do my best to center these gifts to my card base. I'm going to use my grid on my glass board to help with that. For my sentiment, I will grab a slightly thicker foam. This is going to be the 3mm thick foam from scrapbook.com. And I'm just going to add it to where it will adhere to the wood grain and not the gift. So it's still, popping up off the card, and it's a little bit higher than the rest of the elements on my background, but still not too crazy thick. And for some last little touches, I'm going to grab my pops of color. This time I'm going to grab Flamingo in Gloss, and I'm just going to add a few little pops around my presents and my sentiment. And once I'm happy with how many I have, I'm going to go ahead and tap on the inside of my card to help dome out those gloss pops of color so they look a little bit more like enamel dots. Here's a final look at this fun Christmas card using Waffle Flower products and trying out their Shader 2 Plus brushes. Let me know what you think about the brushes. Is this something that you think you would add to your collection? I really liked them. I know I need a little bit more practice, and I'm looking forward to using them more in my crafting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!